Right, everyone, it's Monday. We're going to do the Monday roundup. You should know the script by now. Plenty of Celtic-related stories to get our teeth into. As a Mr. David Brent once said, shoot. And we're going to start this video by doing a little bit of an international roundup. And the emphasis there is on the couple of words. No, 3 words. A little bit, because we're not focusing on every single player. We're certainly going to bypass the Scottish players because I don't really want to think about Scotland playing international football right now, although we do have a game tomorrow. And we're going to go right to Giorgos Giakoumakis, who came on as a sub last night for Greece and scored 13 minutes later in their 2-0 victory over Kosovo. Now, they're having a little bit of a, whatever the Greek is for, renaissance. They've won 4 matches in a row. They're under Gus Poyet now. And it seems like Giakoumakis is kind of a big part of the future of the Greek international team. His header last night, which I'm going to say I know for a fact that you will have seen at some point because it was getting shared around Twitter like mad last night and into today, and with good reason. It was a brilliant header. It was his first international goal since he made his debut for Greece back in November 2020, prior to his time at Celtic. He's going to be huge for us next season. He only really played for us consistently from January. We only really got half a season out of Giorgos Giakoumakis. He had, I think it's fair to say, major issues this time last year. We didn't actually sign him until deadline day, so he didn't get a pre-season at all with us. And when he was trying to play catch-up when he arrived at Celtic, he had various issues. He had a shoulder injury. He had other injuries as well, and obviously trying to force his way into the team was another mission that he had on his hands. Going into next season, he's going to have a full pre-season behind him. He now knows what he's letting himself in for, with the slight exception of the Champions League, although he did say that he's already played in that competition, I think for AK Athens a few years ago in the group stage. So in theory, he should be a player who will be massive for us at the start of next season. And I just can't wait to see him. I love his attitude. I really think he's great. He doesn't shy away from responsibility at all. I remember when we spoke to him after the final game of last season on Trophy Day, and one of the fan media guys asked him about finishing joint top scorer in the league.
It's a little bit weird because he's a top scorer, but you're not exactly alone top scorer. So, but actually, it's a nice feeling. I've experienced that last year also, and I was looking forward for this to happen again. I wish we had some more time so I can be the only one.
What a wonderful guy, and obviously a great footballer as well. I just love every single thing about him. You could probably say those things for Liel Abada as well, and he's enjoying a fruitful international spell as well. He's played plenty of football. He started both of Israel's matches in this chunk of fixtures so far. He actually scored in one of the games against Iceland. For some reason, they're playing Iceland again tonight, and Abada is expected to start that match as well. So it'll be 3 starts from 3 from him, our only Israeli player now, and good to see that he seems to have forced his way into that international side, because I always thought it was strange when Scotland played Israel 100 million times that Abada never really seemed to start. He was down playing with the under-21s at the last international break. I know they were trying to qualify and wanted him in as some experience, but he should be playing regularly for the full Israel team, and thankfully he seems to be now. So well done, Liel Abada. Now, Celtic player Cameron Carter-Vickers, he played the entirety of the USA's 5-0 win over Grenada. They're not really that great, but Carter-Vickers was pretty composed in that game, or so I hear, and actually picked up some plaudits for his performance. Again, it would be great to see him playing regularly for the USA. They are in the World Cup. They're actually in the group with England, Wales and Iran, so it'd be nice to root for a team in that group that isn't from these shores. And moving on, Daisen Maeda scored his first proper goal for Japan in their 4-1 win over Ghana. That was in the Kieran Cup, which you may remember was won by Scotland back in 2006, possibly the only time Scotland have ever got their hands on a trophy, but this isn't about them at all. Well done to Maida. Matt O'Reilly and Stephen Welsh met each other on Friday. They were playing for their respective under-21 teams, O'Reilly with Denmark, Stephen Welsh with Scotland. It finished 1-1. Stephen Welsh summed it all up afterwards on Twitter, saying, "Chasing his shadow for 90 minutes, but good to see my man." And just sticking with Matt O'Reilly, he's had plenty of interesting things to say about being at Celtic and working under Ange Postecoglou. Interestingly, first of all, talking about the great dressing room atmosphere and culture that exists at the club right now. Telling Sun Sport, "I've already genuinely got a few of my best mates at the club, which is pretty cool. I hang about with Carol, Anthony Ralston, Josip, but then again, I honestly probably hang out with half the team, which shows enough about our culture. There are guys like Liel Abada," strange mention, "and everyone is very approachable. Even if we have a rare night out together as a team, everyone is there and you can speak to anyone," which I think is quite unique in this day and age. There's usually quite a lot of cliques, but at Celtic I feel like I could be sat at a dinner table with any of them and have a good time, which is cool. Now, on the wonderful manager Ange Postecoglou, O'Reilly says, "When Ange speaks, you listen. Everybody does, regardless of whoever you are. Regardless of how old or young you are, when he says something, you stop what you're doing. That's what he's really good at. He just commands respect from everyone. He does have a joke around at times, and it's nice to see him when he does bring that side out. We always say as players, depending on the game or the situation or the time, he always seems to say the things you want to hear. He says it at the right time and doesn't get very emotional, which nowadays is a very important factor. If you get very emotional, all your messages can get completely lost in translation, and players on the pitch might feel a bit anxious." I'm fascinated by these Ange team talks and the way Ange addresses the team. We've had various snippets of this when we've been able to see what goes on. We had the mic'd up session at the start of the season, which obviously wasn't really a team talk in the dressing room, but you got an understanding of how Ange addresses players, which was just brilliant. If Celtic fancy doing another one of them this summer, that would also be a really good idea. Maybe like mic'd up 1 year on, could be brilliant. We also had the season ticket campaign when they had snippets of that. Ange addressing the team, I think, before the League Cup final victory over Hibernian. Prior to Celtic and Ange's career, we've had that viral clip from the Socceroos, the Australian national team. How good were his team talks?
Oh, incredible! Like
best you've kind of had
by far. As in, like we used to say, even before the video, the clip that came out, we used to just say, like, someone needs to video some of his sessions and just get it out. He could be Al Pacino on the TV or in the movies.
And I think it just fills you with more confidence as a supporter when you know that the manager ahead of a huge game is going to be able to say the right things that register with players. It just makes you that bit more secure that the players are going to be going out onto the pitch before a derby or a big Champions League night with the right attitude and the right mentality, because they've been told the right things by the manager. Now, I know it doesn't guarantee any results, and we had bad results last year, I'm sure, after Ange gave good team talks, but it just fills you with more confidence, I think, going into the big games next season. Now, what else would fill me with a bit more confidence would be if Celtic would sign some players, and we could see some signed this week. We are plotting more transfer business, we know that, and deals could be concluded in the next 7 days or so. The Jota stuff has gone pretty quiet, but so did the Carter Vickers stuff, and then blam, that was just... did I blam there? God, I'm watching too much Lemmy. Boom, I should have gone with. Basically, the deal came out of nowhere, and we could see something very similar happening with Jota if that deal is completed. Hopefully it does happen this week. In terms of other, let's call them new recruits, Ange does want players in as soon as possible. Now, just a few weeks ago, he said it would be great if we could have all the new players in by that time, the start of pre-season. Sometimes these things are taken out of your hands a little bit, but that's our intent. And I think intent is the key word there. I would be very, very surprised if Celtic have all their transfer business done by the end of June. But given that the players are back, I think in the final couple of days in June, I don't know if the international players will maybe be given a little bit longer leave. Certainly the full team are going off to Austria for a 10-day training camp in early July. That is surely the point when Ange would want a fair chunk, if not most, of his transfer business to be concluded. Perhaps Vinicius Souza is a player who could be signed by Celtic. His name has been mentioned more and more in recent days. I don't think we've actually said his name on the channel up until about 10 seconds ago. We're said to have scheduled discussions with the Brazilian holding midfielders' representatives. That comes from Stephen McGowan a couple of days ago. Souza currently plays for Lommel, or Lommel, pick what one you want there, who are the City Group's Belgian club, basically. He was on loan with Mechelen, also in Belgium last year, and really impressed there. And a move to Celtic could be on the cards. It would likely be a loan move at this stage, although I don't think a transfer has been ruled out. We've got plenty of competition for his signature, though. The South American theme has kind of been there all summer, hasn't it? And it continues with Alexandro Bernabé. Mentioned this guy on the show we did with John on Saturday lunchtime. The latest reports there saying that his club, Lanús, have rejected our opening offer, so we'll see what happens there. He's a left back. We know Celtic are in the market for a left back as well as several other positions. I think these things could happen pretty quickly, so it might be that you hear a guy's name, and I think you'll know probably instantly, or certainly pretty quickly, whether these guys are going to sign for Celtic, just from the language being used in reports. I think the time probably to keep a good eye out for reports is 10:30 in the evening, when most of the papers here release their stories. So don't go to bed is basically what I'm saying, or certainly don't go to bed. Go to bed, but just don't go to bed until you know all the Celtic transfer news. But even if you are having an early night, we'll keep you updated with all of the stuff on the channel. There's going to be loads of transfer stuff happening over the next few weeks. Hopefully loads of other news as well that's not transfer related to get our teeth into. And then Celtic are going to be back in, a matter of weeks. I mean, I think they're probably, heard from a couple of people, a couple of sources, just folk, that they're going to be back in training at the end of June. It's usually, I think, a Thursday that Celtic come back. So I think we're potentially, sorry, I'm doing this in real time in my calendar. I think we're potentially looking at the team coming back on maybe the final day of June, the 30th, or maybe even Wednesday the 29th. But I'm sure that'll be signposted well in advance by the club. And then we'll have pre-season games to get into and all of that kind of stuff ahead of the new season. In terms of more immediate matters and this week on the channel, there is plenty of stuff to get our teeth into as well. So stay in touch and give us a sub if you're one of the 50% of people that watch this channel and don't subscribe, as we go for 31,000 subscribers. As I say, some interesting stuff coming on the channel this week. Starting tomorrow, you might like this video we've got coming up. We'll speak to you then.